The first time my parents said my daughter was an inconvenience, I thought they were just overwhelmed. It was a hot July evening, and I'd brought 4-year-old Ava to their house after work because my sitter had cancelled at the last minute. My mother opened the door, glanced down at Ava's sweaty little face, then turned to me and said, "Why do you always expect us to drop everything for your child?" I laughed awkwardly, handing her a cold soda to ease the tension. "It's just for a couple of hours, Mom. I picked up an extra shift, rent's due." Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in the comments where you're watching this video. My dad didn't even look up from his recliner. "We raised our kids, not our grandkids." Ava waved shyly from behind my legs, clutching her purple stuffed bunny like a shield. "Hi, Grandpa." He grunted. No smile, no warmth, just that empty sound. I told myself they were tired. They'd always been distant with me, colder than they were with my sister, Courtney. But lately, that distance had turned sharp, cruel, like I was a mosquito buzzing around the real family. Courtney, her husband, their perfect kids, their perfect lives. Courtney never had to work. She married a man my parents adored, a dentist who paid for their cruises and remodeled their kitchen. When she had twins, my mom knitted matching blankets. When I had Ava, I got a text that said, "Congrats," followed by, "Hope you can afford her." I swallowed that pain for years, bit down on it like glass because Ava didn't deserve to see me bitter. I worked 2 jobs, skipped meals, skipped birthdays, but I kept her safe, warm, and loved. Every night, she smiled before bed. That was enough until the night they left her screaming by the dumpster. That day started like any other disaster. I was called into work last minute for a double pay shift. Ava had a stomach bug and couldn't go to daycare. I called Courtney straight to voicemail. I texted her. Nothing. Desperate. I called my parents. "Just a few hours," I begged. "Please." There was a long pause. "We're heading to dinner," my mom said flatly. "Reservations at 6. It was 5:22. "I can be there in 10 minutes. Please, Ava hasn't eaten all day. She just needs to rest. I'll pick her up before you even get back." Another pause. Then my dad came on. "We'll wait 10 minutes, not one more." I thanked them until my voice trembled, bundled Ava in her blanket, and drove like the world was ending. When I pulled into their driveway, they were already walking to the car, my mom balancing on heels too high for her age, my dad patting his pockets for his wallet. "She's sick," I said softly. "Just let her rest on the couch. I packed her medicine." My mom opened the back door. Ava whimpered. "I don't feel good." "You'll be fine," my mom muttered. "Just don't throw up on anything expensive." My dad leaned down, eye to eye with her. No noise, no fussing. "Got it." Ava just blinked. I kissed her forehead and whispered, "You're safe, baby. Mama loves you." Then I left, promising myself I'd bring her ice cream when I got off work. That promise died halfway through my shift. At 7:43, my phone buzzed. A message from Mom. "She cried too much. We left her outside. Can't be bothered. Enjoy your shift." I stared at the screen, thinking I'd read it wrong. Then I called. No answer. Again, straight to voicemail. My hands shook as I ripped off my apron and bolted out the back door. I didn't even tell my manager, I just ran. It took 11 minutes to reach their house. The porch was empty, the lights were off. Then I heard it, Ava's sobs, small and broken, coming from behind the trash bins. I sprinted to the side of the house. She was curled up on the cold concrete beside the dumpster, her bunny soaked, her little body shaking. Her face was blotchy, eyes wild with fear. "Mommy," she cried, running into my arms. I called for you so much." I didn't speak, I just held her, feeling her heartbeat against mine. And in that moment, I stopped being the daughter who begged for scraps of love. I became the mother who would never forget. I didn't knock, I didn't yell. I took Ava home, warmed her soup, and held her until she drifted off on my chest. Then I opened my laptop and began to plan not a petty outburst, but removal. Not from their house, from their lives. I barely slept that night. I lay in the dark, Ava's breath soft against me, watching the ceiling fan turn like a slow clock counting down the last of whatever family illusion I had left. The next morning I took her to the pediatrician. Her throat was raw from crying in the cold and her temperature was low. The doctor's eyes were careful when she asked, "How long was she out there?" I lied. "A minute or two." She didn't seem convinced, but she gave Ava medicine and strict instructions. Keep her warm, keep her safe. Walking out of that office, I felt the walls collapsing around me. All I had left was this small hand in mine, and I swore I would never let go. I didn't call my parents that week. I ignored my mother's text 2 days later. "We hope Ava learned her lesson. Disrespect is loud." She was loud, and didn't respond. I didn't get angry. I saved the message to a private folder I'd just made, Truth. They never expected me to collect everything. Every cruel text, every dismissal, screenshots filled the folder. But I wasn't after exposure or pity. I didn't want viral applause. I wanted consequence, silence that gnaws at people who think they've already won. So I targeted what mattered most to them. Image, Courtney's image. My parents were obsessed with appearances, even more now that Courtney's husband was running for local office. My dad bragged that his son-in-law was the future of the district. My mom printed campaign shirts with our last name like it was a crown. They hosted fundraisers, garden parties, and made donations just to see their names on plaques. They thought their status made them untouchable. They forgot I worked. I had a job in logistics and scheduling for a major hotel chain, the same hotel hosting Courtney's husband's big campaign fundraiser in 3 weeks. I called in favors, rearranged calendars, and put a trusted coworker in charge of event coordination that night. A few days before the event, I asked her to confirm some catering details. When I told her whose event it was, she blinked. "Wait, that's your family?" I nodded. "You want this event to go well?" She hesitated. I smiled. "I want it to go exactly how they planned." At home, I doubled down on love for Ava, extra stories, new pajamas, a small doctor kit she'd wanted so she could heal other kids someday. But in public, I began to withdraw. Calls from my parents went to voicemail. Questions about Ava got one-word replies. I watched them squirm. Then Courtney arrived at my door, perfect hair, perfect pearls. "Look," she said, voice syrupy, "I know things got out of hand, but Mom and Dad are really hurt you're ignoring them." I looked at her. "You mean they're hurt I didn't thank them for leaving my daughter beside a dumpster?" She rolled her eyes. "God, you're always so dramatic. She's fine, isn't she?" I didn't answer. I just looked at her, really looked, and then slowly closed the door in her face. Her fists pounded against it. "You're jealous. You always have been. Just because Mom and Dad chose me doesn't mean you get to ruin everything now." Chose. That word echoed through my head like a bell. They chose her, every time. But this time, I was choosing me. 3 nights before the campaign fundraiser, another message lit up my phone, from Mom, though clearly typed by Courtney. "You've been cold. What happened to family first? That's why we went to dinner. We just couldn't handle your drama anymore." Family. That word used to mean something, now it just meant excuses. I didn't reply. Instead, I printed the message and slipped it into an envelope. Ava helped me seal it, her little fingers pressing down the tape. When the night of the event came, I dressed simply, black blouse, dark jeans, flat shoes, nothing flashy. I wasn't there to perform. I arrived just before the guests and slipped into the hotel's back office. My friend was waiting, a folder in hand. Inside, seating charts, MIC schedules, VIP lists, and one small, almost invisible detail only I noticed. The family spotlight segment. 5 minutes set aside for a proud family moment, where Courtney and my parents would take the stage to talk about character, values, and legacy. My friend looked uneasy. "You're really doing this?" I nodded. "I'm not saying a word." And I didn't. But someone else would. The envelope Ava and I sealed, the one labeled Truth, didn't just hold screenshots. Inside was a printed timeline, dates, texts, and one statement written in Ava's own shaky handwriting. I'd helped her spell each word. Grandma left me at the trash. I was scared. I cried a lot. I called for Mom. She didn't come. That envelope went into the event's donation box, quietly, anonymously, right before the family spotlight began. When the campaign manager grabbed it, he thought it was a donor message. He opened it on stage. At first, his voice was cheerful, then it faltered. By the time he read, "I called for Mom, she didn't come," the ballroom was silent. Courtney's smile froze mid-pose. My father's expression went blank. My mother's head moved in slow denial as whispers rippled through the crowd, then gasps, then the flash of phone cameras. The word dumpster hit the air like a curse. Courtney lunged for the microphone. "That's fake. That's planted. She's trying to ruin us." Her voice cracked under the lights. And I just watched, from the back of the room, as everything they built on lies finally started to fall. That's when I stood. From the back row, I walked down the center aisle, calm and steady, while every eye followed me. I didn't say a word. I just handed the campaign manager my ID. He read it, then looked at Courtney. "You didn't mention your sister worked at the hotel." They asked me to speak. I shook my head, because sometimes silence weighs more than any speech. I turned, walked out, and listened, not to applause, but to the kind of silence that burns through pride and settles deep in the chest, the kind that ends things. They didn't call right away. For a week, I watched the headlines multiply. Candidate's campaign shattered by family scandal. Who left a child crying beside a dumpster? The sister who stayed silent while the truth spoke louder. Courtney's husband dropped out of the race within days. Donors vanished. My father lost his cushy consulting job, the one that only existed because of his son-in-law. My mother stopped showing up to church. The family name they worshipped had turned into a warning label. Then the silence broke. A text from Dad. "This has gone too far. You've made your point." Then a voicemail from Mom, her voice trembling. "We're ruined. Courtney's marriage is falling apart. People are saying things. Your daughter exaggerated. Please, we're still your parents." Still, that word again, like a chain they thought I'd never break. A few days later, a box arrived, a doll for Ava. No card, just the gesture. Ava held it, turned it over in her hands, and asked softly, "Is this from the people who called me loud?" I nodded. She whispered, "I don't want it." So we donated it to the shelter down the block. Then came the visit. One evening, I opened the door and saw them standing there, thinner, smaller somehow, their eyes hollow like people who had finally run out of an audience. Dad tried a smile. "Can we come in?" Ava stood behind me, gripping my hand. I looked down at her, then back at them. "No." Mom's mouth opened. "We're your family." I shook my head. "No, family doesn't dump children beside trash. Family doesn't raise glasses to their pain." Dad snapped. "We raised you." I smiled softly. "And now I'm raising her, without you." I closed the door, slowly, locked it. Then I sat beside Ava, turned on her favorite cartoon, and shared popcorn while my phone buzzed behind us unanswered. Because I wasn't living for apologies anymore. I was living for peace. For warmth. For bedtime songs and safe arms. For a world where my daughter never has to wonder if she's enough. My parents can beg all they want. But silence. Silence is all they'll ever get from me.